Hey everyone, this is Noza with another video. Today we're going to be talking about the fact that I regret listening to the pros in regards to a tier list. Now normally you would listen to the pros because obviously they have the most experience and all that. But with the meta being a little bit more defined now, seeing as we've had the patch for quite some time, you tend to see this pattern where they become a little bit more closed-minded as to what these characters can actually do, right? For instance, we see players like Jiro actually doing very well with a character like Anji. But to everyone's opinion, Anji is a terrible character. He's not that good compared to Nago and Happy Chaos, which I do agree that Happy Chaos is in fact at the top. However, to disregard other characters that are quote-unquote at the bottom as though they don't bring anything, as if Ram actually does in fact control the game, this is not exactly the truth that I would be pushing towards others. See, the issue quickly becomes who can get the quickest amount of wins the fastest, right? And obviously the characters at the quote-unquote top, like Ram and Nago and Happy Chaos and Leo, can rack up wins very quickly by doing very ignorant stuff. But then it becomes more of a concern because it's like other characters do have opportunities, but they quote-unquote have to work harder. Now, working harder is not necessarily a bad thing, but not everyone is trying to become a pro. And with that, it brings on a whole slew of different problems because people now don't want to use other characters that take more skill or take more effort to succeed with them. And although the characters that are at the bottom do take slightly more, and I want to say slightly more effort than the other characters, they feel as though they're not viable. And this is just simply not the case, right? We've seen cases where characters that are considered mid-tier or characters that are considered not that good do very well, extremely well. And that's simply because the player puts time behind the character. In the past, that's what people have done. They've been very loyal to their character, and in doing so they flesh out the character as far as it can possibly go. And when you do that, you learn certain things that you wouldn't have otherwise if you were just playing whichever character's top tier that patch, right? For a very long time I was doing the exact same thing, where I would view tier lists and see which characters are at the top right now and kind of push towards those characters or gravitate towards those characters in order to be a little bit more successful in my online play, right? And then over time I started to realize that these characters, when I would try other characters that are not top tier, I would start to realize that I don't really even truly understand the game. And then when I really thought about that, I really sat there and began to realize that possibly that when you indulge in that top tier culture, that's what we're going to call it, top tier culture, then you start to lose what the game is about and how to play the game in a holistic fashion. So then for my own personal journey with the game, I started off with Millia. And I thought that Millia was a very strong character. Everyone, contrary to belief, everyone believes that the character was terrible, right? And for a very long time I was thinking, why do people think this character is bad? And I started to realize that people were under the assumption that this character is bad, namely because the top tiers were too good and therefore the rest of the cast was not really viable. It's the thing, right? Once you start to realize that you can have a certain playstyle, and for you, if playing a certain character promotes your playstyle, then you should definitely go for it. Instead of trying to force yourself into a playstyle that you're not really comfortable with. Let's give an example, okay? Let's say that you are very, very good at zoning, okay? In contrast, Nago and Leo are incredibly good at Rushdown. So then you kind of force yourself into believing that the only way you would find success is to play characters like Nago or play characters like Leo that really enforce that Rushdown. You would have a lot less success in regards to that than actually playing a character that promotes your natural play style. So all I'm trying to say is that you should go ahead and push towards what actually promotes your playstyle. Like for a long time, I actually do in fact love the Rushdown, but I also really enjoy bomboing people, right? And that's why as of late I've recently picked up Anji and learned that. When people talk about Anji, they really don't know what they're saying. They're like, oh, his mix is reactable. Oh, you can deal with all his Fujin follow-ups. But then after, when I actually do play in not only online but offline environments, they really don't know how to handle the character. And some may say that it is attributed to character unfamiliarity, but in a lot of cases, even when they know what to do, they end up getting blown up and getting a little bit triggered. You know, I played this Soul player offline and he just did not have a good time fighting my Anji, and overall he just didn't do very well. But the last thing I'll leave you with is just simply to play what you want. Even though Potemkin is at the bottom of the tier list on almost everyone's tier list because he's quote unquote lacking, you can definitely be very successful. We have seen multiple different Potemkins do very well against the highest caliber of player. So just play what you feel is comfortable, or play what you feel is strong personally. I'm going to keep playing Anji, and I'm going to keep trying to push the character as forward as possible, seeing as there are not very many Anji players who like to really push the character and kind of play him at a very surface level. So play what you want, enjoy what you want. This is the end of the video. Thanks so much for listening, and if you have any comments or disagree with me, please let me know in the comments below. Thanks again, guys. Take it easy.